Sup, Lindy Fitness, and the series, What the F is This? This is not really a new episode per se. This is going to be a video adaptation to an article that I wrote about 2 years ago. And the subject we're going to talk about today is the most talked about aspect of fitness, weightlifting. Yes! Yes! Or, more scientifically, resistance training. So, if you have questions about this, stay tuned for...
Yo, who the F is this?
Welcome. This is the What the F series. What the F is resistance training. And once again, if you haven't already, check out my article on my Patreon page and my other articles on different subjects in fitness that explain what the F is this. What is resistance training? A rough definition is utilizing resistance against gravity, weights, or any immovable object to train different muscular contraction. Also, resistance training can be used to improve not only just strength, your ability to produce force or move things, but also anaerobic endurance and, of course, all right, a little historical context. Contrary to popular belief to most bodybuilders, resistance training wasn't invented by Arnold Schwarzenegger, though he does love talking about the pump and coming all over the place.
I beg your pardon?
Satisfying feeling you can get in the gym is the pump.
What do you mean by that?
Say you train your biceps, blood is rushing into your muscles get a really tight feeling. It's as satisfying to me as coming is. The feeling of coming at home, I'm getting the feeling of coming backstage when I pump up, when I pose out in front of 5,000 people, I get the same feeling. So I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific.
I wonder if he ever regrets that quote. I wonder if he does. And then was actually perfected by Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, buddy!
Yeah, buddy!
Yeah, buddy! Yeah, buddy!
Yeah, buddy! Two phenomenal legends in their sport. And no, it's not Ed Cohen as the powerlifters would like you to believe, even though he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Bret Hart, please don't sue me. Arnold Schwarzenegger was very influential in the bodybuilding space with his book, The Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. But also, thanks to Perch.fit, they got more of a historical context to resistance training of Chinese warriors training with movements like squats and lunges. Even in the Middle Ages, a German knight and fencing master, Joachim Meyer, yeah, my German's terrible, wrote about extensive strength training in the book, The Art of Combat. The article kind of goes into more things, but, right now we're just kind of talking about, big, meaty men slapping meat.
What did he say?
Want to see two big men with big with big chests and big muscles bumping meat.
Shout out to some influential women in the weightlifting space, like Jessica Buettner, multiple-time world championship powerlifter out of Canada, has a couple of world record stories to her credit, and Tia Toomey, multiple-time world's fittest woman for CrossFit, even though we really don't like CrossFit in this house. But, it is what it is. They still contribute to a lot of women weightlifting to this day, and to that I am grateful. But also, we go on. Quick review of the section before my diatribe of fitness references. Resistance training is essentially working against an opposing force, and that opposing force once again could be gravity, another object that is heavy, like most often a weight implement like dumbbells or barbells, or just pushing against immovable objects themselves. So why do you resistance train? And there are a variety of reasons. And number one, resistance training helps the muscles learn to produce more force regardless of rep range trained. A good program will allow the muscles to perform the same number of repetitions, but with heavier resistance over time. So if you're doing high reps, you'll still get stronger and be able to move more weight at higher repetitions because you'll be conditioning the muscles. But also, more often than not, you're going to try and do, if we're training max strength, we're going to be doing single digit low rep ranges, which, either it's still strength, So in regards to rep ranges, we're still producing force and showing strength, but just at different extremes. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, like we talked about earlier, muscle mass and bone density are also increased through resistance training. Studies have shown that resistance training also decreases the chances of sarcopenia, which is an age-related muscle loss. So like the phrase, you don't use it, you lose it. As we get age, we lose muscle mass. So the more often we resistance train and put on forces that stressors to our body that exceed like day-to-day like life stuff, we're going to maintain more muscle as we age. We're also going to produce denser bones as we age in a similar fashion as multiple studies have shown. Most notably, I'm like referencing an article from 2018 from Ram and Sang-Won Kim talking about this. Also, it prevents osteoporosis. As we age, the likelihood of that, osteoporosis symptom of that is like holes literally developing in our bones because we lose density over time. And also, the training stimulates osteogenic effects for the tissue. What? Can't even read my own notes. So the training is going to stimulate osteogenic effect, which for the tissue, which is also going to help improve tensile strength of ligaments and tendons, which is going to be much needed as they're going to have more forces put on them by the muscles and bones around them moving. So this is actually going to provide better health for your joints and longevity for your joints as well. Because not only are your bones getting stronger, your muscles getting stronger, your ligaments pretty much attach muscle to bone and tendons bone to bone at different etc. Body composition means the more lean body mass you have, so muscle, like without really much fat, you're going to have less fat in your body with that, which is say in theory. So as like lean body mass increases, fat body mass decreases. And also it's along with just the density of the muscles, and you're going to have more fibers created to help with better contractions. Cardiovascular health, actually. It's been shown in studies that Olympic weightlifters who perform like very complex movements like the clean and jerk in the snatch, movements that take a lot of muscles, a lot of joints, like we call multi-joint movements, because multi-joints, get it? Hit it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Multi-joint movements take a lot of energy to produce, especially doing them in repetition over practice. So they found in studies that the regular training people do with that increases aerobic capacity. And this was found by like Getman and Pollock that back in the 1980s, like 20 weeks of circuit training with weights could yield a 5 to 8% improvement in aerobic capacity. And that's why you have asked things like complexes in flows, where a complex is you're doing a number of different movements with either dumbbells or kettlebells or a barbell to get a cardiac effect. You're still doing resistance training, but you're doing it and with cardiovascular health in mind rather than muscular health in mind, even though you're still helping the muscular health because you're still lifting weights, but you get what I mean. So yeah, something that doesn't get talked about a lot is hormone response. Is a good way to maintain like healthy hormone balance in the body is resistance training. You decrease the amount of insulin you need to produce to process sugars and carbs, which in the biz they call improving insulin sensitivity. So the less insulin you need to process sugars, the better you're off, and the less likely you're going to be able to have like things like hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia, because you're going to be able to keep the blood sugars more balanced in your body. Also, you're going to have higher resting concentrations of testosterone was also found as the increase during exercise, depending on rep or rest protocols. You're also going to have better resting concentrations of growth hormone, which is a anabolic hormone like testosterone. Those are responsible for like building muscle tissue, bone, and assortment of other things in the body. But biggest they're connected to is their maintenance of skeletal muscle in the body and like maintaining a preferred body composition, which typically is like lower body fat. With that, because high body fat is it's tied to having a lot of medical issues. So keeping a optimum body fat percentage is ideal. And big ways to keep that in check is to build up lean body mass through weight training, and also that's going to maintain like your testosterone and growth hormone levels. And also with this, they have shown cortisol, which is the opposite of a testosterone and growth hormone, to help build a lot of tissues in the body. Cortisol breaks it down, and people who've been on a resistance training program have lower cortisol levels in their body. I think that and produce less during exercise, which is a hormone that gets released in a lot of stressful situations, which is why like a lot of times cortisol is called the stress hormone. Anyways, a little bonus. This is for my dance audience out there, is body awareness and mindfulness. And I put this because being someone who weight trains, like whether you train for aesthetics or like bodybuilding style or like just to be stronger or even just general health, to be very proficient in these movements, you have to be very aware of your body's alignment and how you are set up, how you're set up before you start the lifts, how you're set up during lifts. You don't, and relieving power leaks. So in something like dance, where you're very much aware of what your body's doing and where your body is going, weight training or resistance training is a great way to kind of do supplemental training for that. So it kind of allows you to have better body awareness. And it's funny, like I think the more and more I've gotten to weight training, the better my dancing has gotten, because I'm more aware of where my body is balance-wise and proprioceptive-wise. And lastly, and not least, is mood and mental health. And I want to kind of go on there's going to be a lot of disclaimers here. It's like, yes, exercise has shown, multiple studies have shown to improve mood and mental health. There's like resistance training has been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety. It's also shown to improve mental cognition, executive function. It promotes better, healthy sleep patterns. But there hasn't been conclusive findings for it dealing with the symptoms of depression, which is very interesting. And as I had a lot of friends who expressed, and I've gone through this sometimes, if I'm feeling depressed and I go to the gym, because people are like, oh, you're feeling depressed, so you should go work out. I've been depressed and gone to the gym and still feel depressed, but just have a sick pump afterwards. So, and also I do see like a lot of like fitness media and merch portraying, oh, the gym is my therapy. I mean, yeah, kind of, but if you're really thinking therapy is needed, get therapy. Please don't self-medicate, because exercise can be a good thing to help manage your mental health, but it's not a good self-medication and only solution. So if you're really dealing with like extreme symptoms of anxiety or depression or any kind of mental health or mood, things like that, and you have access to it, please
Stop it. Get some help.
see a professional. And if you're a person who still has those things and using the gym to kind of medicate for that instead of seeing a professional,
Get some therapy.
But I mean, that's just my 2 cents. So like, good for you if your exercise and resistance training helps you with those things, but also still consider it only being a part of the plan and not the entire plan.
Play me off, Johnny.
Anyway, so with resistance training, there are a number of different styles to it. I kind of mentioned them before. It's like resistance training is a mean of training particular muscle contractions, and there are 3 contractions that can be trained through resistance training. Number 1 being concentric contractions, with this is the muscles generating force by shortening. So this is applying force to move something. So if I'm like picking up, say, this water jug, concentric contractions of the biceps, I'm curling. And so the muscles in my bicep, if you use a curl, are going to be shortened to bring the bar up. As the bar is lowered, my muscles will be lengthening. That is an eccentric contraction, which is applying force in by lengthening the muscles. And this is usually a great way to kind of control descents of a lot of lifts. And then you have your isometric contraction, which is a muscle contraction where there's no change in joint angles. So if you apply force to something that's immovable, it doesn't move, so your joints aren't going to change in angle, and you're going to be contracting the muscles, but we're not really, we're generating force, but not enough to change the angle of where our joints are at. So like if I'm trying to push, like say, the house, my elbows are going to stay bent as I apply force. I'm never going to apply enough force to straighten my elbows out, changing the angle of them. That's fun. Unless I'm doing like a push-up against the wall, then that's neither here nor there. And shut up, you smart aleck calisthenics people. Speaking of calisthenics is a form of strength training consisting of a variety of movements such as standing, grasping, pushing, that exercise large muscle groups. These exercises are often performed rhythmically and minimal equipment. They're the most accessible form of resistance training because we all have bodies. And so we can perform these movements just about anywhere in a space, just give us enough space and things like that. Now, there is a limitation because depending on how mobile you are, and also depending when it comes to issues of working your posterior chain, especially with pulling movements for the upper body. So like you kind of need excess equipment to do something. So like to kind of perform pulling movements, you probably need a pull-up bar, do stuff within a door frame, something to help you work the muscles of the back. There's only so much you can do, and you got to be very creative to figure out how to utilize these movements to get a full body workout. Also the issue of intensity, because you can do so many reps over time to kind of continuously overload yourself, but also over time you're going to have to use like different methods of say, hey, adding in holds at different points, adding in bounces at different points to kind of help yourself continue to progress calisthenics, which you can. If some people, there are a lot of people who get a lot of value out of that and get or feel very moved by it. I'm not one of those people, but I also, that doesn't make me less of a person. And just because you can do fancy push-up variation doesn't make you better than me. Free weights, my personal favorite, heavy objects that are lifted during exercising, such as dumbbells and barbells that are not attached to a piece of equipment. So you have a variety of different equipment. You have your dumbbell, which is going to be like a bar, and you're going to have a weight right here and a weight right here, and it's going to be just be a thing. So short bar with weights at each end. Advantages of dumbbells, I think they are very beginner friendly. A lot of my clients who are new to weight training, I have them on dumbbells a lot of times because they're going to be lower weights. They also, so it's an easy way to apply mechanical stress to the person's body outside of their own body weight. You can also train a lot of stabilizer muscles because since the weight is a kind of a short unit, that's going to create some instability when you hold it in certain places. Also, you can use it to train carries, presses, curls, different things like that. Also, it's just you can do a bunch of things to create some controlled instability to help train stability for the person. And also, they can fit a natural joint motion, which I'll get more into this when we talk about barbells. Limitations, though, is as you get stronger, they get harder to handle. I just recently maxed out the dumbbell rack at my gym by bench pressing, flat bench pressing with 130-pound dumbbells, like one 130-pound dumbbell in one hand, another 130-pound dumbbell in the other. The thing is, it is freaking annoying and dangerous to handle those things. Like, I have to get a buddy. Like, I just don't try to lift past 100 pounds without having somebody to help me push my elbows up to get those things in position, because if I try to fall back and try to do things, I don't want to tear my rotator cuff or a pec or something. And you know how bad medical bills are? Terrible. Anyways, life goes on. So yeah, like limitations, especially also since you need a higher lows to train lower body because it's such a massive muscle group, it's harder to load those safely and not in an awkward way with dumbbells. So So also moving on to barbell, which is an adjustable bar, so it's just a long bar that you're able to put disc on the end.
Disc! Get the disc!
The end, and then a clamp to keep them on the end. Or you also do have what's called a fixed barbell, which is usually just a bar with weights that are already attached that they shouldn't be loose. If you're at a gym with old enough equipment, they'll be loose. But they shouldn't be loose, and theoretically they are all put together in one piece. Those are typically like straight bars or like easy bars that have a weight, and they'll have the chunks on the end and then the weight on the side and things like that. The biggest advantage of the barbell, since it's like one unit, unlike a dumbbell, which is two separate kind of unstable units, the barbell is one more stable unit. It allows you to lift heavier loads. So typically, if I want to really like challenge certain lifts with how much load I can take, I'm going to go switch to barbell. So if I want to almost push heavy, if I want to bench press heavy, I'm going to do barbell bench press. If I want to shoulder press heavy, barbell press. Row heavy, barbell. Like, it's a disadvantage is it's a more fixed point, and it doesn't always have me do a very natural motion, because since it's a straight bar, I can only place my hands so wide or so narrow to add a particular path to it. So as I'm pressing, and I come into this when I do presses, since my hands are both fixed at the same point, I only have so much of a pressure motion that I can do. Rather, if I'm at my dumbbells, I have more, since they're separate and not in a fixed position, I can be in a much more normal line of movement. With a lot of presses, a lot of people think things move in a straight line. No, they're going to move kind of in a J motion. And as you see, like if I'm pressing with dumbbells, I have the dumbbells kind of turned in with my elbows at 45 degrees, rather the barbell, like everything's straight, and that kind of pushes my elbows out. So I really have to squeeze more, and I'm not going to have them as comfortable at an angle as I would with a dumbbell. Squat University and Eugene Teow kind of put some more their spins on it. If you go to the article, you can hit the links and hear them talk about it. I'm not gonna like push it, have them come in, but if you go to the link at the article of this, they kind of have some caveats to this and kind of go into that more, because that's kind of what I heard these arguments. The last of the free weights we have is the pride of Russia, the kettlebell, which is a round weight. It's gonna be round with a thick handle that is on top of it. So it's going to be similar to a dumbbell in ways, but you have all the weight at the bottom below the handle. It's going to balance much differently than a dumbbell will. That's going to create some advantage with the implement that helps develop overall body strength and dynamic and static core strength. So once again, since that implement is kind of weirdly balanced, if I'm pushing up overhead, it's going to try and pull me near, farther. I don't know what I'm saying, but you kind of get the point. And so that's going to help with more core stability stuff. With the thick handle, it's going to help with grip strength. And with the weight distribution, it's going to help with joint strength and stability, once again, utilized in solid progressions and things like that. Limitations due to its shapes, like the dumbbells, they get really awkward really fast the heavier they get. So the stronger you get, the heavier it is. But the thing about kettlebells, they're not really implements used to develop like straight out brute strength. It's more about movement and full body movements in control and things like that, like with the snatches, with the windmills and things like that. They're very popular with the functional fitness crowd because you kind of have to you're able to move more naturally with them. Our goblet squat with a kettlebell is going to be very different than a front squat or a goblet squat with a dumbbell, because how the kettlebell is shaped and how you hold it, I feel like it's more in tune with how the body moves. As just a dumbbell is just a freaking bar and two ends that are on me, and I'm not sure how fun that is. But there are different aspects to it. I like the kettlebell because I use it more for like metabolic conditioning aspects. So like doing a bunch of different total body movements in short periods of time to help not only develop my strength within that scenario, but to also just help with overall endurance and body strength and conditioning and coordination and all those good things. But yeah, Mark Wildman is a celebrity trainer who specializes in kettlebell training, and he talks about different aspects like the advantages of kettlebell training and kind of disadvantages. I have a short clip of it that's linked in the article. Once again, if go to that, if you want to check it out, just scroll and check that out. It's hyperlinked. And lastly, the weight implements that get probably get honestly that get shat on more than anybody else. Machines, like machines. You listen to functional fitness people and a lot of fitness gurus. A lot of people don't like machines. I used to be that way, but there's a place for them. They have the good old weight stack machine. I've learned to value accessibility when I program for people. So being able to expose people to things that they will do because they feel empowered and feel capable of doing them. And weight stack machines, they help that. They're a great starting point for a lot of people. A lot of people are scared to try and do movement by themselves and things like that, and they're afraid of injury. I don't blame them. As someone who's sustained a lot of nagging injuries and minor things here and there in my years of weightlifting, I don't blame them because that junk sucks. Advantages of them is it's a safe way to allow a person to start moving a weight that's outside of their like body, like an opposing weighted implement. It's on a fixed track. You have a machine that puts you in a very guided position and things like that with joint angle and how the thing is designed. It was in a very designed and like kind of controlled environment, and it'll help you train the muscles that need to be trained specifically. And there's a lot of instruction and cues on machines to help people be able to use them who aren't sure on how to use them. So I think, yes, they're not the best thing, but they are a good thing. And I think there's benefits to athletes using them every now and again, bodybuilders using them, anybody and everyone kind of using them. The downside is they mainly only train a particular muscle. They do not train movement patterns. So you can get stronger, you can strengthen your quads, but you're not going to be a better squatter. You can strengthen your glutes, but you're not going to be a better hinger, squatter, lunger by just using machines. To get better at those different movement patterns, you need to do those movement patterns safely in an unloaded manner and eventually progress yourself to be able to do those better in a more loaded way. And by more loaded, more weights. We go on next to something that's kind of best of both worlds.
It's the best of both worlds!
The cable pulley machine. It's a machine that's still a weight stack machine as you're moving a stack of weights that you put a pin in to perform a movement, but you're utilizing a system of cables in adjustable pulley positions and different handles so you can perform a number of different movements. The advantage of this is with the pulley and the cable, you're able to do more natural movements to move a weight stack, and so you're not stuck on a fixed track. That's why I like it's you're getting the free weight, like the free range of movement from free weights, but you have the guided track of a somewhat guided track of a weight stack machine. So you're kind of having two things being married together. You're not going to get as much stabilization work unless you like do particular angles and perform the rep at a right speed, but you'll definitely be able to get more out of these by training specific movement patterns with resistance rather than just training the muscle by going through a guided track pattern. Another advantage of thing, and this is actually an advantage over all the different things we talked about, is the cable. Cable machines are the only machines that have you being resisted throughout the entirety of the movement. There are some weight stack machines that are designed differently to kind of do that, but most aren't. And what I mean by that is you're like with a curl, once you get past your elbows being at 90 degrees, you're not really moving against resistance anymore because of like angles and gravity and leverage and things like that. You're not being resisted by the weight. If you're able to do a curl on a cable machine, you're going to feel resistance at every angle of the movement. Thus, you're going to be getting more micro tears and stimulation to the muscles, which will help you as you recover get more stronger tissues and stronger muscles and get you stronger faster, as opposed to really you're still going to be weak at particular angles with the weight machines and even with free weights and things like that. So that's why I'm really big on like kind of subsidizing barbell and dumbbell work with cable work as well with a lot of my workouts. If you see on social media that I do, because I'm going to be able to continue strengthening my muscles and joints at a huge range of angles rather than just a particular like movement thing. Limitations is the number of machines that are available. Like I at a very high-end fitness club, and we have a lot of cable machines at Lifetime Fitness. In my gym in Texas, I was at Texas Family Fitness. They had a good number of cable machines, not as much as Lifetime, but still more than most places. So if you're at like a place like so like, and I run into this programming with clients. So if they only have access to like say a gym in an apartment complex, or like a YMCA, or like a Planet Fitness. I mean, I just like Planet Fitness, but also appreciate Planet Fitness because accessibility. They don't have as much variety where you'd be able to do a plethora of movements with cable. They're only going to have very few options and very few availability. So it's going to be up for them. And usually to get that availability, it just comes with paying more money. And, you know, times are tough. Not all of us have the financial resources to be able to do that. But there are ways to kind of get around it. Like usually resistance bands tend to be cheaper than, say, gym memberships. And they'll also kind of last you a lot longer. The ways to kind of subsidize being able to get that at home if you're a person who's just comfortable with working out at home, I would highly recommend doing resistance bands. That's something else. Another way you can do. I gotta put those kind of in the category as cables, but also you're limited to how much, what you can tie things to, what doors you can put things to, and like how you can like set up and all that jazz. But anyways, I hope you found that useful. That is what the F is. That's what is resistance training, and some a basic overview. If you want me to go more into detail about other aspects of resistance training, just leave a comment. Please like this video, share this video, and let me know what you think. I can get discussions with y'all. Once again, check me out. Check out my Patreon and consider becoming a patron just to kind of pay me for the time and mental energy that I put in to make this content for you. Once again, so secret of life after this I figured out is lift weights, build a fat ass, and you'll live longer. It's science. So once again, love is love. Black Lives Matter. Please continue to update your vaccinations as fast as you can. Get out there and vote. And yeah, y'all have a good one.